to be known as Africa's Pinochet. Hissène Habré was a ruthless dictator in power in Chad between 1982 and 1990.
Prepare to uncover the horrific truth about one of Africa's most notorious dictators, Hissène Habré. Known as the Pinochet of Africa, Habré ruled Chad with an iron fist for 8 years in the 1980s. This cunning and charismatic leader came to power through a CIA-backed coup, but his reign was marred by paranoid brutality and ruthless repression. With the support of both France and the United States, Habré's secret police were responsible for the deaths of up to 40,000 Chadians and the abduction, torture, or rape of 200,000 more. In this video, we will delve into the sinister story of Hissène Habré and shed light on the atrocities he committed against humanity. Brace yourself for a shocking and engaging journey through a dark chapter in African history. Rise to power Hissène. Habré's journey to power was a turbulent and controversial one. Born on August 13, 1942, in Faya-Largeau, Chad, Habré was a member of the Goran ethnic group. He began his political career as a student activist, advocating for greater political rights and social justice in Chad. Habré's political ambitions soon led him to join the armed opposition against Chad's first president, François Tombalbaye. After several years of rebellion and political maneuvering, Habré ultimately found himself in a position of power in 1982, following a CIA-backed coup that overthrew Tombalbaye's successor, Goukouni Ouédé. With his ascension to power, Habré wasted no time in consolidating his control over Chad. He implemented a policy of harsh repression, using his security forces to crush any perceived threats to his rule. Political opponents, human rights activists, and civilians alike fell victim to his brutal tactics. During his early years in power, Habré sought to solidify his position by aligning himself with powerful international allies, particularly France and the United States. Their support, both politically and militarily, provided him with the resources and legitimacy he needed to maintain his grip on power. However, beneath the facade of international support, Habré's regime was marked by corruption, economic mismanagement, and widespread human rights abuses. His reign of terror had only just begun, and the full extent of his atrocities would soon come to light. The reign of terror and brutality. As Hissène Habré solidified his grip on power, Chad descended into a state of terror and brutality, unlike anything the country had ever experienced. Habré's secret police, known as the Documentation and Security Directorate, DDS, became notorious for their ruthless methods of interrogation and torture. Under Habré's command, the DDS carried out systematic human rights abuses on a horrifying scale. The DDS operated a network of secret prisons across Chad, where thousands of individuals deemed threats to the regime were detained. These prisoners faced unimaginable horrors, enduring brutal beatings, electric shocks, and sexual violence. Many were held in inhumane conditions, crammed into tiny cells without access to food or medical care. Countless individuals perished under these barbaric conditions. The DDS also employed a system of forced labor, where prisoners were used as slaves to build infrastructure projects and work in cotton fields. They were subjected to grueling labor, often without adequate protection or compensation. The death toll from these forced labor camps remains unknown.
Forensic teams gave evidence of mass graves, and a handwriting expert identified
but it is believed to be substantial. Habré's reign of terror extended beyond Chad's borders. His forces frequently launched cross-border raids into neighboring countries, such as Sudan and Libya, targeting opposition groups and suspected dissidents. These military operations resulted in the deaths of innocent civilians and further destabilized an already volatile region. The international community was largely aware of Habré's brutal regime, but turned a blind eye to his atrocities. France and the United States, in particular, continued to support him, seeing him as a bulwark against Libyan expansionism in the region. It was not until 1990, when Habré was overthrown by current President Idriss Déby, that his reign of terror finally came to an end. The Documentation of Atrocities. The documentation of the atrocities committed by Hissène Habré and his brutal regime is a testament to the resilience and determination of human rights organizations and activists. In the face of extreme danger and repression, these brave individuals risked their lives to gather evidence and expose the truth. Countless testimonies from survivors have provided chilling accounts of the horrors endured within the secret prisons of the Documentation and Security Directorate, DDS. These testimonies, along with physical evidence and documentation, have been instrumental in building a comprehensive record of the crimes committed by Habré and his regime. Human rights organizations, such as Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, played a vital role in documenting the atrocities and bringing them to the attention of the international community. Their tireless efforts to collect testimonies, analyze satellite imagery, and conduct investigations have been crucial in uncovering the extent of the crimes committed. The involvement of the International Criminal Court, ICC, also played a significant role in the documentation of these atrocities. The ICC conducted its own investigations and collected evidence to support the prosecution of Hissène Habré. This international recognition and accountability for his crimes have been essential in the pursuit of justice for the victims.
Hissène Habré.
As a consequence, Hissène Habré, the court condemns you to life imprisonment.
The fall from power and the long road to justice. After 8 years of terror and brutality, Hissène Habré's reign of terror came to an end in 1990. President Idriss Déby, who had once been a trusted ally of Habré, overthrew him in a coup. It was a moment of relief for the people of Chad, who had suffered under Habré's oppressive regime for far too long. However, the fall from power was only the beginning of the long road to justice. The atrocities committed by Habré and his brutal regime could not go unpunished. The survivors, human rights organizations, and activists were determined to seek justice for the victims and hold Habré accountable for his crimes against humanity. It took over 2 decades for justice to finally be served. In 2013, Hissène Habré was arrested in Senegal, where he had been living in luxurious exile. The arrest was a momentous occasion, marking the first time a former African head of state was brought to trial in another country for human rights abuses. The trial, held before the extraordinary African chambers in Senegal, was a historic precedent in international law. Survivors testified against Habré, recounting their horrific experiences and providing crucial evidence for the prosecution. After a lengthy trial, in 2016, Hissène Habré was convicted of crimes against humanity, war crimes, and torture, and was sentenced to life imprisonment. The conviction of Hissène Habré was a victory for justice and a powerful message to dictators and perpetrators of human rights abuses around the world. It showed that no one is above the law, no matter how powerful or influential. The survivors finally had their voices heard and their suffering acknowledged. But the long road to justice does not end with Habré's conviction. Hissène Habré's trial and conviction. Fast forward to 2013. After years in exile, Habré was arrested in Senegal, signaling a turning point in the pursuit of justice. The stage for accountability was set by the creation of the Extraordinary African Chambers, EAC, a special tribunal within Senegal's justice system. This unique court was designed by the African Union to address the international crimes committed during Habré's presidency. The trial, a monumental event, unfolded in 2015. Witnesses, survivors, and experts shared their testimonies, unveiling a harrowing narrative of mass murder, sexual slavery, and the use of child soldiers. The courtroom became a theater of justice, bringing to light the untold stories of those who suffered under Habré's rule. The climax came in May 2016, when Hissène Habré was pronounced guilty. A life sentence was handed down, marking a historic moment.
To life in jail. According to the head of the investigating commission, his brutal regime caused the death of at least 40,000 people.
The first time an African head of state was convicted in another African country for such grave offenses. However, the story didn't end there. Appeals followed, and in April 2017, the appeals chamber upheld the life sentence, but adjusted compensation for victims. The legacy of Hissène Habré's trial echoes far beyond the courtroom. Setting a precedent for holding leaders accountable for human rights abuses in Africa. As we unpack the details, it's essential to understand the lasting impact of Habré's regime on Chad and the region. What lessons can we learn from this dark chapter in history, and how can we ensure accountability for such heinous acts? Please let us know in the comment. If you found this video insightful, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let's keep the conversation alive. Don't forget to subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Until next time, I'm out.